Teddy Bridgewater signed with the Lions today. You sent me that with a question mark exclamation point. Um, so I'm taking it you were shocked by that signing, just as I was.
Oh yeah. When I saw that, it was just like the rumor dropped, and then within like 5 minutes, it was when I think like Schefter or somebody like the confirmation started coming in, and then of course, it's everywhere. Uh, but yeah, I sent it to you. Just like, have you heard this? Have you heard anything about this? Did I miss something? Where is this coming from? Totally unexpected. Teddy Bridgewater had a lot of success this year coaching, the high school football team. They
Mhm.
steamrolled everybody in the playoffs and won the state championship. And he figured, you know what, not doing anything for a few months here, might as well just go back to the NFL, right? I can do that.
Yeah, yeah. In the press conference today, they asked Dan Campbell about that, and Dan Campbell, the first thing before no one even got to the question about Hendon Hooker, he's like, "This has nothing to do with Hendon and his progress. This is all about adding to our team." And essentially, I look at it as we're adding another coach to the team. We're adding another QB to get Jared Goff ready for a playoff. I mean, God forbid something would happen to Jared. Yeah, Teddy would be great to have some experience and put in there. But at this point, this late in the season, it's more about development of the team and putting someone else in that room. And it probably was going to help Hendon out too. You're going to have another quarterback on the bench during the game to point things out to Hendon as opposed to him talking to Jared later on or in the meeting room.
Absolutely. And it's not like we are literally pulling somebody off the street that hasn't been here before. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater was here with Hendon Hooker already. And outside of just the quarterback room, Teddy's a veteran presence and he really helps the receivers and helps the team out as a whole. Um, yeah, I like how you said, it's basically just like having another coach around because it really is. And, maybe that's what he's looking for is a coaching opportunity in the NFL after this. And here we are, one last little ride for him as a quarterback, as a player, and then we'll see what happens next year.
Yeah, I think he wants to get a Super Bowl ring as a player, so this is going to be his opportunity. And Dan Campbell in the press conference today said, I've been in contact with Teddy for a while, so I think that this has been in the work. I had seen some rumors from Schefter before that Bridgewater was going to look to get back in the NFL after his season ended, his coaching season ended. I was like, where would it make sense for him to go? And the Lions were one of them, but it was like, are we going to take up a roster spot for that? Um, but it's kind of probably working out well because we're getting some of our players back. I know we're going to have to add some to the roster, but we have just a lot of, we cut Kwon Alexander today. I'm assuming that there might be some other cuts coming when we get, Jalen Reeves Maven back on the roster and, eh, add them back to the active roster. There might be some more cuts, but the Lions figured that this was important enough to put him on the active roster. So,
That's the
um,
interesting part of this is, you have to sign with the active roster. We can't do anything with Hooker, so now we have three quarterbacks on the active roster. We are injury riddled already. We've been these spots, how many people have been shuffling around on the practice squad and everything? Some people are active some week and they're not. That's the most interesting part of all of this is that we valued having that third quarterback and having Teddy in the room over having, one of these extra linebackers or extra edge spots. Just because you already mentioned the Kwon Alexander thing, but the linebacker room as a whole, Dan Campbell says that Jerm may be able to come back this week. The clock's already been going on him, so we still have a couple weeks, But we released Kwon Alexander. We signed Deron Gilbert back to the practice squad. So Gilbert's the one that's from Detroit. He was here with us in the preseason. He had the injury settlement before the season started, but we also just 2 days ago we cut linebacker David Long. The idea was to cut him and put him on the practice squad. He was claimed by the Titans. Now today news broke. I don't know if you saw that they filled his physical with the Titans, so that's off. So I
mhm.
don't know where that leaves him. You would think the Lions probably want to keep him back on the practice squad, but now do we have room? What do we do with Gilbert, who just got here? There's also the rumors that when we cut Kwon, that the idea was to hopefully keep Kwon on the practice squad. Kwon Alexander doesn't play special teams, so that would just be for linebacker purposes. Dan Campbell also says Anzalone's getting close. The exact quote was like he said, "I don't know about this week, but it's getting close." So you would think that means next week, which was kind of what the idea was all along. He hasn't practiced yet, but there's just been a really interesting shuffle of the linebacker room And now we have one less spot to work with because we have an extra quarterback.
Yeah. I'm going to trust the Lions on this. That roster spot is just more valuable to have experience back there. I mean, they also credited Teddy Bridgewater with the maturity of JMO too, and
Right, right.
so I mean, it's not just helping the quarterback room. I think he just helps the whole team in general, and you're also, you know, he's going to do things off the field. He's going to work with the wide receivers off the field, even some of the people that maybe are on, the back end of the roster. So it's a good signing all the way around. It's an interesting signing, unexpected for sure, and especially adding to the practice roster. Now, if we with having him on the active roster, it basically means we're going to be able to activate one of our, either Hendon or Teddy. Probably Teddy's going to be our emergency backup, I would assume, at least for the first 2 weeks. Maybe playoffs, maybe maybe they play this a little different because I've been with the team. Hopefully by our first playoff game, 3 weeks, because given the bye, if that happens, so I could see him maybe being the emergency quarterback, Teddy the emergency quarterback in case Hendon gets hurt. That gives you basically an extra active person on the roster. So we'll see how it goes, but that's the way I think it's going to play out.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, we'll find out. Hopefully, we don't have to. Hopefully, it doesn't come to them having to play.
Yeah, no, it's all coaching right now. We don't have to worry about that because Jared's going to get us through the all the way to February.